We're looking at pictures from earlier today, mild drama which ensued today at the Magistrate Court in Dutse, the Jigawa state capital, as supporters of former Governor Sule Lamido and the police clashed after he was arraigned at the Chief Magistrate Court in the city. He was remanded in the prison custody after the Chief Magistrate, Usman Lamin, ruled that Lamido should be taken to Kiyawa prison until May 4th. His bail application will be taken on that date. Mr. Lamido is being prosecuted for allegedly inciting disturbances ahead of the State Council election. His supporters had taken to the streets in protest against the court ruling. Meanwhile, the Federal High Court sitting in Lagos is adjourned to May 31st to the hearing of a motion seeking to terminate the corruption charge against the senior advocate of Nigeria and a former Minister of National Planning. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission arraigned Mr. Dele Belgore alongside Professor Abubakar Sulaiman for alleged money laundering. Both men are accused of conspiring to take possession of the sum of 450 million naira, which the EFCC claims forms part of the proceeds of an unlawful act. The Defense Counsel filed the application seeking to terminate the proceedings on the grounds that the prosecution did not file an affidavit to show it had not completed investigation on the matter. After listening to both counsels, Justice Reluwan Aikawa agreed that the motion could be heard alongside the substantive matter and adjourned the matter to May 31st. Let's take it out to Abuja. Here's Maokwe Ogun, who has more on the news at 10. Hi, Maokwe.
Well, thank you, Amara, and hello. The Constitution and Electoral Reform Committee has submitted its report to the federal government. The chairman of the committee, Senator Ken Nnamani, says a major challenge in Nigeria's electoral process is the collation center, which is fraught with corruption and corrupt officials. Our correspondent, Amaka Okafo, reports.
6 months after the Constitutional and Electoral Reform Committee was set up by the federal government, the committee, which is led by a former Senate President, Senator Ken Nnamani, has submitted its findings to the Justice Minister and Attorney General of the Federation. Chairman of the committee, Senator Ken Nnamani, who says the committee, which undertook a zonal investigation approach, came up with 4 draft bills that will enhance the nation's electoral system if passed into law.
The first volume is the main report containing recommendations on how to improve the electoral process in Nigeria. Attached to it are 4 draft bills on amendment of relevant provisions of the Constitution, amendment of the Electoral Act, establishment of political parties and electoral offences commission, and the establishment of constituency delimitation center.
The former Senate President also shared other findings of the committee during its work.
The problem mainly in election in particular is the collation center that has proved to be a place where votes change in figures, a place of manipulation. And they have made recommendations here in this very report that we are going to submit today.
The Minister of Justice and Attorney General, who noted that the federal government has begun to sanitize the electoral system, promised that the report will be transmitted to the President, who will also do same to the National Assembly for speedy passage.
The committee's report and draft bills will be submitted to the President immediately for his consideration and transmission to the National Assembly. We urge Nigerians and all those who are involved in the electoral process in one way or the other to support the federal government's efforts towards a vibrant electoral process.
The federal government had on the 4th of October 2017 set up the committee to make recommendations that will help improve the nation's electoral system. Amaka Okafo, Channels Television News.
Now, the National Orientation Agency says it's looking to increase its advocacy programs on the maintenance of peace across the country. During the presentation of its 5-year strategic plan, the Director General of the NOA, Garba Abari, said that in spite of inadequate funds, the agency has recorded giant strides and will implement the new 5-year plan to better promote Nigeria's core values and ensure attitudinal change.
We have used community theater. We are using information and education materials to propagate the values of religious tolerance, citizens' tolerance, engagement with one another. We have engaged religious leaders down the line in order to be very circumspect in their preachings. We have engaged, especially against the backdrop of the collapse of governance at the local government levels. We have engaged traditional rulers in order to fill in the vacuum that have been created as a result of very ineffective local government administration. So the NOA has been up and doing. We have a multi-level stakeholders which we have been engaging. You may not, perhaps the press has not been adequately been made privy to this. Otherwise, we have done a lot. We are doing in the northeast. We are doing in southern Kaduna. We are doing in Nasarawa, in Plateau, in Taraba. All the trouble spots that we are talking about in this country, the NOA is engaging. The NOA is mobilizing. The NOA is synthesizing. And of course, the impacts are being felt.
Well, that's the Director General of the NOA, Garba Abari. But talking about attitudinal change, it's not uncommon to find some people flouting laws guiding a particular state or country. Now, have you ever wondered why even a state like Lagos is still grappling with instilling discipline in its citizens, even with a huge amount of money? Our correspondent Loretta Chiogo has a special report.
The city of Lagos, the commercial nerve center of Nigeria, is one of the busiest and fastest growing cities in the world. Plans are in top gear to get the state a mega status through the government's developmental and urbanization drives. However, there are challenges a rapid growing African city like Lagos is facing: lawlessness. People are on the move as everything happens real fast with the violation of set laws. For instance, driving on one way in Lagos is an offense, but commercial motorcyclists flaunt their lawlessness in Ojota area of Lagos even before enforcement officials.
The construction of the new Jersey Wall, as named by the Lagos state government, is to discourage people from crossing the expressway, which has recorded a number of accidents and eventual deaths.
The government seems to be spending so much in instilling discipline, while the effort is yet to be satisfactory. Lawlessness is freely displayed here on the expressway at Ijesha area of the state. The newly built pedestrian bridge is used by a few, while street trading is the order of the day.
No matter whatever you do to Nigeria, you understand, it will not satisfy them. Government have done their best.
Recently, a fully loaded diesel tanker exploded after it veered off the road while struggling to overtake a saloon car on a road where a long stretch of tankers have taken over a portion. This is despite the laws prohibiting indiscriminate parking on major roads and streets in Lagos. It's not unusual to see dirt litter roads in the state. These are mostly flung through the windows of commercial vehicles, including some Porsche cars, without recourse. What could be responsible for the wanton indiscipline? Mr. Francis Akinkumi, a psychologist, speaks on the issue.
There are a lot of factors that will make an average Nigerian or people in our society to go against the rules and regulation of the society. Some of these factors will be as a result of their own temperament or personality, and sometimes the factor could be as a result of what the environment allows them to do. And occasionally it could be as a result of a social learning behavior. They have socially seen other people doing it. They want to imitate them. But additionally, there are some other factors that we also want to talk about. People who are on substance. There should be awareness program. There should be attitudinal re-engineering. There should be attitudinal change. There should be program in the society to teach the people what they should do and how to do it.
The zebra crossing typically gives priority to rights of way to pedestrians, which automatically forces motorists to slow down when approaching one. But the case is different here.
I had to be very conscious while on the zebra crossing. That's because I don't want to get knocked down by any of the rushing drivers. Perhaps more sensitization and a change of attitude and mentality would do the magic and overrule lawlessness in the state and in the country in general. Loretta Chiogo, Channels Television News.
Welcome back to the news at 10. Workers in the Nigerian embassy in Washington have been on a sit-in protest, paralyzing activities at the mission. However, some departments of the embassy are set to still be functional. Workers say they've not been paid salaries for the past 5 months, forcing them to embark on a strike. They're threatening to report the embassy to the U.S. Labor Department. There were no official functions at the embassy today, as workers only gathered at the lunchroom in the basement. The embassy in Washington and the consulate in New York are set to be currently cash-strapped, with staff and local workers not being paid for months. A source close to the Buhari administration says there's been a lot of mismanagement of resources in the ministry, causing a lack of concern for staff welfare and difficulty in the missions being able to carry out their functions. Nigerian youths are being encouraged to take firm advantage of opportunities for growth and development. Self-awareness for positive change formed the basis of a one-day seminar by Learn, a non-governmental organization directed at preparing young Nigerians for leadership. Our correspondent, Olumide Macaulay, reports.
You are able to discern things. That is understanding.
LEARN is an acronym for Leadership Empowerment and Resource Network that builds future leaders by catching them young. Students, undergraduates, National Youth Corps members, religious bodies and NGOs make up the invited guests.
You must discover who you are, because you know yourself, you know your talent, you build your network, and you have a positive mental attitude. Then you can know the places where money hides.
As that message sinks in, another session involving panelists gets underway.
What is that big dream that you want to achieve? Even though you have a big dream, you must also be able to say, how can you start small? If you have a dream that you cannot start small, it is not a good dream.
And where do I start from? Start from your bed. My bed, where do I start from? My bed is big, then start from your best space. My best space, where do I start from? Then start from yourself. When you change, your best space will change. When your best space changes, your bed will change. When your bed changes, your room will change.
Nigeria has one of the largest populations of youth in the world. If the demographic is 18 to 35 years, that's over 33 million people. That's more people than the population of countries like Monaco, Grenada, and Sao Tome and Principe combined. Small wonder the chairman of LEARN is concerned about the teeming youth in Nigeria.
There are so many things that our young ones are going through. There are challenges. You have the internet, you have the social media, you have so many things they are contending with. So if we don't put them right, and just like the Bible will tell you, show your children the way to grow, and they won't depart from it when they grow up. So you take that pains now to grow them up, to grow them in the right direction, to direct them and help them with their challenges and find solutions together so that they have the ownership of whatever happens to them in life.
As the country forges ahead in the 21st century, Nigeria's population is bound to increase. With the youth alongside, igniting passion for learning and leadership can only be in the nation's best interest. Olumide Macaulay, Channels Television News.